this is day 4 of Tottocharizze Treats this season. I hope you're enjoying the first 3 videos and giveaways of this series so far. If this is your first Tottocharizze Treats video, don't worry, we have a few more to go. Today we're going to set up my new bullet journal for 2025, so stay with me until the end of this video to enter the lovely giveaway. I am so excited to start a brand new bullet journal. I will be using the Rose and Lace Dot Grid Lila journal for 2025. I mean, look at the details. It's just so stunning. I love the cover and the lace, and I learned that RT manually attaches the lace, which is really very well done. And it has all the features that I prefer in a bullet journal. It has 160 GSM paper and 192 pages. It also comes with a rose enamel bookmark pendant. It is just so pretty. Okay, let's get started with my 2025 bullet journal setup. And this may be the least exciting part for some of you, but writing my name is like a warm-up and helps me get into the zone. I get into it pretty quickly now because in the past years when starting a new journal, I literally stare at the page first for about 15 minutes. Anyway, I'm also excited to use watercolors for the first time in my yearly spreads. I usually go for minimal and simple layouts and using brush pens for my illustrations. And if you need inspirations for those too, feel free to watch them in the channel later. I think I have around 8 yearly bullet journal videos that you can get ideas from. The products I'm using here are also listed in the video description below in case you're interested in something particular. The first thing we do here is to prepare some colors. The colors I'm using are also displayed on the screen in case you want to follow the paintings. But you can also mix different colors to achieve similar shades if you happen to have a limited watercolor set. And maybe you prefer other coloring tools. I think the illustrations are achievable using other mediums. You probably have seen the 2025 sticker that I included in my new planner sticker set on my shop. It's my yearly cover page. And I think a lot of you already guessed it, so I'm gonna show you how I painted it here. I chose a theme for this. The paintings are mostly inspired by the Art Nouveau style, which is known for its flowing lines, organic forms, and use of nature, particularly the curves of plants and flowers. So for this cover, we started by painting the flowers. I chose to paint daisies in 2 colors, reddish orange and white. This is so that the overall colors of this illustration complement each other. In terms of painting the flowers, we paint them from the petals using light consistency of paint, but you can also start with the center, whichever feels comfortable for you. After the initial layer of petals, we can paint the stamen using a very pigmented color or a thicker consistency. We can also create little divisions of petals and tiny textures that extend from the stamen, so our flowers will look more natural. We are also adding a darker color here using burnt umber and Van Dyke brown to create shadows around the stamen. Then we can add another layer on our petals to separate them. These are mostly applied to the ones that are at the back. We are just repeating the same steps for the rest of the flowers, and we can also make the whole composition look interesting by making other flowers face different direction by painting like just a half of the stamen, so it has a curvy side and an almost flat side towards the bottom petals. The curvy side should be on the direction where you want the flower to face, if that makes sense. So we're basically doing the same steps for the white daisies, but the petals are not so white. The page of the notebook is already crisp white, so we want the petals to pop more by adding a tinge of yellow. The stamen is golden yellow and burnt sienna for the shadows. We are also painting little buds around to fill some spaces. When our flowers are done, we can now paint the leaves. So we are using a combination of Viridian, sap green, and Van Dyke brown. And we're just painting all the leaves and stems with their first layer of paint. These are mostly at the back of the flowers, but they're also behind the frame that we're going to paint later. But we can already paint these as well. The next step is to add the veins and shadows by mixing more Van Dyke brown. This will create depth to our painting. Alright, next is our ornamental frame. We paint all the lines with light yellow and burnt sienna for the edges. I first went with a light consistency and then layered some parts with more pigment. Using 3 different shades like this is a great way to kind of mimic a golden frame. I'm actually going to use gold watercolor, but I wasn't sure if the camera will give justice to it, so I'm just going to use it on the other parts. So we are already done with the frame. Now we can add our year 2025. I decided to use paint for the numbers as well, using shades of green, and this is the part where I'm using the gold watercolor. This is the Finetech Coliro Tibet Gold. We're just applying a bit around the lighter part of the numbers. This is optional actually, but I like a little shimmer on this cover page. This has a sticker version available in my shop, so if you want to get it with the planner sticker set maybe, you can always visit my website at tottocharizze.com. And that's my 2025 bullet journal cover. I love how this one turned out, but let's move on to the left side where we will be making my word of the year, or words rather, because it's not just one word. I printed a colored paper in dark green. The output wasn't what I expected, but it's okay. I also printed with it the words I want to write in this Times New Roman font. I just want to make things easier, so why not? Then I'm going to paint the words with our gold watercolor. I think this would be much easier if you have a gold gel pen. Although I'm going for the Art Nouveau, I wasn't able to match the font of the letters to the style, but it's not taking away the whole vibe anyway, so it's fine. Anyway, I have several words here that I want to surround next year with. My word this year is grace, and it manifested so much in many areas of my life. I also learned this year that my name actually means grace in Hebrew, so I was praying to God about this again before choosing a word, that it would be what He wants me to focus on. And I also wanted the design to be purposeful, so the next day when I continued working on it, the words fivefold just literally popped in my head, which also happens to be the name of the ministry I'm planted in. So next year is 2025, so there are fives there. Then I also felt led to branch this with 5 more words that describe what it is like to be under a ministry that embraces and demonstrates fivefold gifts. These words are fruitful, faith, frontline, flow, and flourish. These words are already what I've heard many times this year in this ministry, and I also wrote short phrases under each word. I'm already experiencing this on some level, and I'm really grateful for it. But I just know that it's gonna be exponential this 2025. And if you want to hear something more interesting, it's also gonna be my 5th year bullet journaling. So, so who else orchestrates that? And while I was working on this page, this happened. A drop of water just suddenly released off of my brush and ruined the colored paper. It seemed like a sabotage. It's like the devil is stopping me to create this page, if you know what I mean. Spiritual war is real, guys. But I'm determined, so even if I meant this to be a quick page to make, no worries. I'll redo it. So, after the words are done, I also added line drawings that depict each word using a white gel pen, such as fruit for fruitful, lily for faith, butterfly for frontline, waves for flow, and another blooming flower for flourish. I had this theme with a flourishing style in mind for some time, and now it actually made sense to me when God put these words just before I'm about to start filming it. He is so intentional, and I'm always left in awe. But I also want to say that if you're planted in 5F as well, that I'm not speaking for everyone. Apostle Catherine is still going to release a prophetic word this coming new year, so it might be different because I'm not her. Even so, I will follow the lead and implement it in my spiritual life. After drawing, I added some drop shadows to help the words show up better. And that's my cover page and words of the year spread. Let's flip our way to the next page to create my future log. We start with another painting of a floral border. We are using Naples yellow for the base of our flower. My brush was quite watery when I applied this, so I just decided to paint the leaves for the meantime as I wait for it to dry. And I'm still using the same colors. Then when it is dry, we are using a pigmented mix of red orange and Naples yellow to add shadows on our flower, just around the inner part by following the lines that form each petal. Next, we're going to clean and wipe the brush on a dry towel, I should say, and use it to drag the color to create gradient. We can also add a bit more darkness to the inner side with burnt sienna to create depth, and it will make our flower painting semi-realistic. We can go back to add the veins and shadows as well after that using a darker shade of green. We are just adding more Van Dyke brown to our mix likewise. Then using the same set of colors, we are painting some smaller flowers on the bottom left corner using our detail brush. But I think I ran out of the green mix, so when I replenished it, I got more of a cooler tone, but it's okay though. Next, we are painting a wooden-like border using burnt sienna. And I hope you already got the idea of how I paint. I always go with a lighter base, then add shadows and details with more pigment. The page next to it will be cut into a Dutch door, then we will continue the border with the same element. I hope you don't mind me skipping some parts because it's just the same technique, but this time I painted the flowers on the top left and the bigger bloom with little flowers around as well on the bottom to balance the whole look. I wanted my calendars to be interactive, so I printed several colored papers. I'm almost running out of ink. It looked like there's 2 oranges. The other one should be golden yellow, but it is what it is, so I'll just go with that. We're making little pockets out of these. We cut 2 pieces of rectangular shapes. They are both 9 dot spaces wide. One is 13 dot spaces long and the other 6 dot spaces long. If you can print the colors back to back, you won't need to have 2 separate pieces. You can just cut the total length and fold it upwards. But if you're like me who's conserving ink or maybe running out of ink, you can also do it this way. So we are gluing a bit off the bottom edge of the shorter paper behind the longer one, fold it up and glue both sides. Then repeat the same steps for each color. So here they are. I also made the same color for the pockets behind the Dutch door. As for the calendars, we will be using separate dot grid pages. I also like that this Lila journal has perforated pages at the back, so you can rip some pages to use in interactive pieces like this. I'm using 2 of these by the way and cut them into rectangular shapes to insert into the pockets. Then we're just writing the mini calendars here accordingly. I typically only include the first 6 months since I switch into a new journal for the second half, but I got inspired and made a full year future log here. So I will be writing the important events on the spaces below. I can also make use of the backside if I have more events to write. The months are painted with gold, but I started by stamping the letters first as a guide, though some of the letters are misaligned, so forgive me. And then we're just painting it over with gold watercolor. And that's my future log spread. I think it's okay to not write the title because it's obvious what it is for. So let's move on to the next spread. What the spreads in this setup have in common are ornate frames, but each to its own design. So we begin setting this up by painting another full spread size frame. I also made another Dutch door cut out already because I'll be combining 2 spreads here. It's always a great way to create setups easily and not having to think of a different design for the next spread. We are using light yellow to paint the flourish corners or the swirls and the borders. I was thinking of using gold watercolor here, but I still had the same thought of it not being able to show up nicely, so I just resorted to the basic colors, but I might paint it over. We'll see. We have the same side mirroring the other, so I also skipped that part here so the video won't get too long. Then I filled all the white spaces in between with green. In this case, we can already go with a darker shade, but I thought my mix was already dark, so I painted another layer with a double portion of the pigments. We're just finishing it off by painting the details on the golden yellow parts with burnt sienna. Now for the layout, the first spread is for my goals. I made 4 rectangular cutouts of colored papers for 4 different categories. These are for my personal, spiritual, home, and work goals. Then a large font goals title will be on the left header using a black pen. On the next spread will be for my YouTube content and shop releases for the first 6 months. And while we write them, I think it's a good time to talk about the giveaway. I am so excited to be partnering with RT of Lila Journals in my Treats series this year. One of our giveaway prizes is a $50 gift card that you will have the chance to win in this video. And you can use that gift card to get anything you want on her website. So all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like this video, turn on the bell button, and comment what are the 5 things you want to focus on or to flourish in this 2025. And if I can give you a tip, don't mention the question in your comment. You can get straight to your answer. I say this because we want other participants to make effort in watching the video to learn about how to enter this giveaway just like you did. So yeah, this is open internationally and the winner will be announced on December 22nd in my community post. Okay, we moved on to our next and final spread we will be making for my 2025 Bujo setup. So we are painting our frame with a different design, but still with the same colors. We have a bigger flower and a bud for each side. The stems are like vines, and this time I varied the placements of the leaves. Then for the frame itself, it is a bit thicker than the previous frames. And I recommend to use this kind of design where you don't need a lot of space. So this is just a nice way to fill them in. We have golden yellow swirls that resemble ears, but it's just like where the vines are hanging on to. Then we also paint the yellow borders and the green on the inside. So this is my highlight spread. Please excuse my spelling here. I'll try to fix that later. But yeah, I haven't tried using highlights before, so I'm going to use that this year. My main reference for this is the memories with pictures, but instead of photos, I'm just going to write my top 3 highlights for each month. So I'll just have 2 columns divided into 3 months each, and each month have 3 writing spaces. And that's finally everything for my 2025 bullet journal. This whole setup is available on my shop as a digital or printable bullet journal theme, so you can easily print to make a quick yearly setup and ready to use. This is perfect if you're very busy during the holidays, so you can just paste them on your pages and voila! I really hope you enjoyed this plan with me video. I also hope you found some new ideas and creative inspiration for your own 2025 setup. Remember to join the giveaway by following the steps I mentioned earlier, and I'm so excited for anyone who will win this. Have a lovely time bullet journaling, and I wish you all a flourishing year ahead. Thank you so much for your time watching. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon in my next video. I love you all. Bye everyone.